Professor Snyder, your thoughts on the president's speech tonight?
You know, people will pick and people will parse, but I thought it was a wonderful speech and a necessary speech. I thought it was a speech that was grounded in the physical courage of a man who decided to go to 2 war zones without American military protection, first Ukraine and then Israel. No American president's done anything like that before. And it's not just a gesture, I think it's a sign of a meaningful form of politics where the president understands that there are times and places, there are conflicts, there are conjunctures where your physical presence actually matters, where your physical courage actually matters. There are times when you have to speak to other leaders face to face, and I think he's absolutely right about that. And I think that kind of courage came through in the speech itself. It was time for there to be a speech about Ukraine. It was time to explain that the Ukrainians are in fact doing well. It was time to explain that Ukraine is not just a matter of how Americans feel this day or that day. It's not a matter of just American domestic politics. That the war in Ukraine is about the security of the world going forward for our children and for our grandchildren. That speech had to be made. But it took courage because he's a president who's facing that war. He's facing the war in Israel. He has to face both of them at the same time. And he has to be able to explain to Americans the stakes of both, the similarities between them, and also the differences. I think he got all of that pretty much as well as anyone could in 15 minutes. And I'm personally very glad that he did it. And I'm frankly grateful that he's the president at the moment.
He made a historical reference when he talked about supplying arms, referring to the United States as the arsenal of democracy, a phrase that was coined when President Roosevelt, before we entered World War II, was supplying arms to the British in their desperate attempt to survive the Nazi attack on them.
I think it's a beautiful comparison. People forget 2 very important things. We forget that it's not us who are doing the fighting in Ukraine. It's the Ukrainians who are doing all the fighting in Ukraine. The help that we're providing is financial, military, humanitarian. We've just sent them some ATACMS missiles. We've got about 1,200 of those things that are obsolete or obsolescent that taxpayers are going to have to pay to disassemble, or we could give them to Ukraine and they could use them to win the war. We forget that the Ukrainians are doing the fighting and all we have to do is supply. And the second thing we forget is that it was American economic power, not just the military, not just the decisiveness and the courage, but it was American economic power which underlay the victory in the Second World War. With our economic power, with the economic power of the Europeans, we should be able to make sure that the Ukrainians win this war as well. So I like the comparison.
As we go forward, what are you looking for in the Israel's response to what Hamas has done?
I think in the president's speech, we saw just how fine the balancing there has to be, because on the one hand, there must be some sort of response. On the other hand, one has to be aware, as the president clearly was, that the rights of Palestinians also matter, and the rights of Palestinians can also be violated and are also violated. The military response has to be proportionate. It has to be directed, and this is the tricky part, and this is the part I bet the president spent a lot of time talking about. It has to lead to some kind of political solution. It has to aim towards some kind of a point. An occupation just for occupation's sake is going to be what Hamas wants, and it won't serve the Palestinians, and it won't serve the Israelis either. The military operation has to aim at something political, and I think that's the tricky thing which the president was working on while he was there.